YouTube, Spotify, you have been hit with the Soul Dojo podcast. My name is Curtis Russell, of course, and yeah, we haven't been doing this for a while. I'm finally back. I'm actually in a new space now, a new mindset, I guess you can say. And you know, it's just been so much stuff I've been having to do recently, and I finally got around to finally getting back to doing the podcast because there's so much going on in gaming. We're nearing the end of the year, and there's going to be the Game Awards, things like that. I think the Joystick Awards are going to happen. I mean, they never usually have a great, Game of the Year, do they? But I'm finally back doing it. I'm just in a situation right now where everybody's kind of doing their own thing, whether it's Niall, whether it's Jay, whether it's me. Everybody is still doing videos for the Soul Dojo, but it's very hard to do videos right now because life just kind of hits you. But we are getting back into it, and I think one of the biggest things that I've always tried to do with the Soul Dojo is to make sure that that we stay consistent, and we haven't really been that great at it. I mean, you could blame it on the pandemic, you can blame it on anything. The only thing I really like to blame it on is myself, because at the end of the day, it's something that I need to make sure that I'm a lot better with. So I am always playing games. I love gaming. I'm always playing games, and I always do find that time to play games. So here we are again. Right now, you guys are only getting me. Hopefully, I can reach out on Discord and get some of my friends. I am live on Facebook right now, so hopefully maybe Walter Slapadelic's listening, because I think I'm going to get him on one next. But without any other excuses, anything, let's just jump right into our favorite hobby, video games. And that's all I really want to talk about. If you guys do hear a fan, that's like a fan right behind me. Anyway, what am I playing at the moment? I was playing the Tony Hawk Remake for a while there, and I was really enjoying it. You can tell with the game, the board, whether it's just your body functions, the board, it has really good, I guess, weight distribution in the game. You can kind of tell that they really worked on stuff like that. The levels in this game are fantastic. I really do like it's a little. It feels like it's a little bit harder. Now, the funny thing about these remakes that Activision has been kind of going out with, like getting these developers and kind of been pushing out, the thing about these remakes is they are harder. So if you remember, like the Crash Bandicoot remake was fairly much harder. I don't care what anybody says, it was harder. I didn't even get through any of the games. I played loads of it, but I didn't get through any of them because the difficulty of them were pretty hard. Now, I'm one of those people, like, I don't care if a game is hard. To be honest, I think at some point games don't have to be so cinematic, like their God of War or The Last of Us Part 2. They don't always have to be so cinematic all the time and let you just get through the game. Some of these games they need to pose a challenge, to be honest with you, like Dark Souls and like to a certain extent BioShock. So it's like those games do pose a hard challenge, and Tony Hawk Remake, it's not even that challenging. I think it's just it's harder to do certain unrealistic stuff. So like I remember when I was playing the games, I remember playing Tony Hawk 4 where like you can just do like a 900 out of nowhere, like basically get enough air and do a 900 out of nowhere. And I think that's one of the things that my man Key pointed out was like you getting air in this game isn't crazy. Like you don't get a lot of air. You just kind of You can get air, but it's like it's a lot. It takes a lot to get air. You're going to have to do a couple of pushes. You're going to have to go on one side of the bowl or one side of the half pipe to get up pretty high. And then to get up on the other side, you're going to have to get up really high on the other side first and then come down. So it's a lot. It is a lot to this game. And but it keeps that same formula. What I really liked about this game a lot was you really get that video game feel with it. I know that probably doesn't make any sense. What's up, Jason? That really doesn't make any sense really at first when you listen to it, but it's like, no, you really do get a good game sense when it's like the game has customization across all three games. Because remember, it's two games. It's the Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1 and Tony Hawk Pro Skater 2. So you do get the customization across both, and I really did like that. And the customization is fairly deep. And it also has like you can change like attributes of your character, of your skater. So I really like that. I kind of took a little long on that. I kind of wish I didn't. Okay, also I played Ghost of Tsushima. I did my review on Ghost of Tsushima. I gave it an 8.5. spoiler alert, I give it an 8.5. And I do like the game. Do I think it's a masterpiece? And that was the question that we posed. Did I think Ghost of Tsushima was a masterpiece? No. I actually didn't think it was a masterpiece because I think it's getting more hype because it's another great PlayStation exclusive. And yeah, Cameron, we are live, baby. As people on Spotify won't know, or even on YouTube, because I am going to edit it, I am on live on Facebook, so people are just kind of chiming in. But yeah, Ghost of Tsushima, I think Ghost of Tsushima gets a lot of praise that Assassin's Creed already kind of, for things Assassin's Creed already kind of does really well. Do I think this game is better than Assassin's Creed? I do think this game is better than Assassin's Creed in a lot of ways. I think it's I think it's better put together, and I think as a game it's better because if you look at some of the features, some of the way the game just the way the game is when it comes to the open world, it's a lot more put together. It's a lot better planned also, where Assassin's Creed, you have to kind of deal with the weird level scaling. You have to kind of deal with the fact that they did put these progression microtransactions in it. So you have to kind of think, oh, well, are they messing with the game a little bit to make me buy these XP boosters or stuff like that? But Ghost of Tsushima is way better put together than Assassin's Creed. Like I said, the only thing is, I think with Ghost of Tsushima, I think the stealth in the game is a lot to be desired. I don't think the stealth is good enough. I think for a game that's called Ghost of Tsushima, it should be a lot better put together when it comes to the stealth side of things. And I think I'm really getting tired of like NPCs being so stupid in games, and definitely in Ghost of Tsushima, these NPCs are just borderline stupid. I have had some situations where I try to be very stealthy and like certain things will happen and I'll be like, either why didn't he see me or why did he see me? There wasn't really a good balance there. And I've played a few games this year where the stealth just has not been that great. Speaking of not great stealth, I mean, Kingdoms of Amalur Re-Reckoning, I'm playing that also. I think Kingdoms of Amalur is a game that it's it's good to go back because it shows why, or it's a dissertation to how far we have come in the RPG genre. I think it really is because it's so bare boned when it comes to its RPG aspects. It's so bare boned, and it's like the crafting, the just like putting, armor sets, weapons, how the combat works with all that, upgrading your character. It's all like level 1 RPG stuff. Like it honestly is. It's all level 1 RPG stuff. And it literally is a flagship for how far we have came when it comes to the RPG genre. That's the best I can really say about it. Now, when it comes to the remaster because it's a remaster, it's not necessarily a remake, the remaster of Kingdoms of Amalur, I think it's not that good. Now, let me sip my coffee on that because, man, I think the game, I understand the game is 8 years old. I do understand that, but it's like the game is just there is so many technical issues with it. There's so much pop-in. There's so much stretching of like certain landscapes within the world. It's not an open world game. It's more of like an open area game. So you can kind of tell where there's a lot of texture issues. I wish maybe with the remake, maybe they can try to fix that a little bit, but you really don't. To be honest with you, the game is so, it's not poorly done on the remake side. I mean, they were able to bring it to the PlayStation 4, have it running decent. It's okay, but I think they really could have brought it to the Switch, to be honest with you. Whether the Switch would have ran better with it, I don't know, but it just looks like the remake was just kind of almost rushed. They really didn't help out. Like the lighting in this game is awful. I think it's awful. I think when like darkness is this game's weakness, it absolutely hates it. Like when you're talking to somebody and it's dark, they just throw this illuminated light over your person and think that it's all cool, where you kind of look you super yellow like me. Like it's ridiculous. Like I think they could have done a lot more with it, but the game itself is super fun, especially with the combat. There is a lot to this game that I have issues with, but at the end of the day, this game has really got a cult following. This game has really caught a lot of the eyes of a lot of people, and it's a really good game. I really do like the combat. I think it's very Fable-like, where you can kind of switch between weapons, and it's very fast-paced, and it can get very, I think with the Reckoning mode, it's very God of War-like. You can kind of just, kill a whole bunch of enemies and then do like an awesome finishing attack, which is great. So it's a good game for people that are not deep into, like, not super deep into RPGs, or if people want kind of like a history lesson on what like your base level RPG feels like and how to make an RPG. I think this game is a really good idea for that. So here we go. Game of the year so far. So this is where I get into the interesting stuff. Haven't been able to talk about Game of the Year this year. So the Game Awards are on December 10th. Of course, if you guys remember, I went to the Game Awards last year, and I said Sekiro, Shadows Die Twice, was going to win it, and they did win it. I was there last year, and I haven't talked about it much this year so far, Game of the Year. So let's get into it. I think my nominations are Animal Crossing, The Last of Us Part 2, Ghost of Tsushima, Final Fantasy VII Remake, and I know for sure Cyberpunk has not came out yet, but Cyberpunk will be part of that. My winner will be Cyberpunk 2077, and the funny thing is that's the only game I have not played yet, and I just think it's gonna be great. I mean, what we've seen of the game so far, this is CD Projekt Red. This is a company that knows how to make amazing games that last you for 10 years. Look at The Witcher 3, and then on top of that, the DLC, the expansions that came out for The Witcher have been fantastic. So if this team can just keep that quality going, and we're hearing that they're trying to do that, I think this game's going to be an absolute hit out the park. It's going to be fantastic. Animal Crossing, I think, is a game that is a situational game that came out during a situation where we needed a game like this, and it came out at the perfect time. And I think Animal Crossing was so good this time. Animal Crossing New Horizons is probably it's probably the best Animal Crossing to date. It grabs everything from the last couple of Animal Crossing games, put it into it, and then adds more stuff. And now it's kind of becoming this cult hit where the following behind it is huge. It is a juggernaut within itself, and it is definitely one of the best Nintendo games to come out this year. Final Fantasy Remake has a chance. The thing about that, Cameron, is while I love Final Fantasy Remake, I'm still fighting with the fact that should remakes get a chance to win Game of the Year, because they already came out basically, and you already have an outline of the game that you want to make. I understand they built this game from the ground up, and Square should be commended for that, but I thought Final Fantasy Remake was fantastic, to be honest with you. I thought I think this one is a special case. And the only reason why I see you guys likes, man, I appreciate it. The only reason why I think Final Fantasy VII should be exempt from that argument is because the way they're doing the remake, they're using the remake structure to fuel the future games. So, like, I don't want to spoil it because it only came out earlier this year. I don't want to spoil what's going on, but they're using the fact that it is a remake within the story. So, like, the remake is basically its own timeline where they can kind of use the remake to make new games within Cloud's storyline, which is, it's awesome. I think it's a good idea. I think it's a good idea, honestly. And maybe that's why Final Fantasy VII Remake should be a little bit considered, because it is a bit different, especially towards the end. Well, not even towards the end. There's an entity within the game that they try to make sure that the remake stays intact and that the timeline stays intact, but things start happening within the game and it kind of changes what happens. So play Final Fantasy VII Remake. Maybe Final Fantasy VII Remake could have a chance. One of the games that I did put in there was the Crusader Kings 3. I haven't played enough of Crusader Kings 3, to be honest with you. I played Crusader Kings 2, really liked it, really loved it, and a lot of people are saying this game is a 10. I haven't played it enough to be like, this game is a 10, so I mean, it could be in there. It's a strategy game on PC, and it's pretty awesome. Last of Us Part 2, I don't care what anybody says about Last of Us Part 2. It was a fantastic game. I absolutely loved it. I loved it to the point I went back and played levels again, because The Last of Us Part 2, it's a game about characters and make these characters, putting you, the player, in situations where you feel uncomfortable. And I've always said people need to look at games as what are they intended to do, right? What are games intended to do? What are these games intended to do? The Last of Us Part 2 put me in situations where I was like, I can't believe Ellie did that, or why am I doing this right now? And it made me feel uncomfortable. That's why I gave the game, when I reviewed it, a 9.5, because The Last of Us Part 2 is a fantastic game. These people that are saying, oh, well, I didn't like the fact that Ellie did this, this, and this, and I didn't like the fact that Abby did this, this, and this. That's kind of the point. It's not about you making the decisions. It's all about them making the decisions and you going through the story on this emotional roller coaster with them. That's what it's about. That's what this game is about. And it's fantastic from Naughty Dog. I loved it. I absolutely loved every minute of the damn game. Like, I loved The Last of Us Part 2. And the fact that they flipped the whole genre, like not the whole genre, but they flipped the whole agenda in the game. You're playing as a lesbian main character, and you also play as she doesn't even have a female physique of Abby. And I know people don't look at that, but it's like, it gives me a different perspective when I play these games. You know what I'm saying? It's like playing as a female, like, it gives you a whole different perspective, because I'm a male, unfortunately. I mean, not unfortunately, but I am a male. But it gives you a different perspective when you go into these games and you play them. It really does. So the game, by the end of the story, I was a little disappointed, but like I said, it's not about my story. It's not about how I would end it myself. It's about what Abby would do. And I think Neil Druckmann and his team try to look at that and they try to channel it. But overall, that game is an absolutely fantastic gem that we're going to look at with this console generation and say, that game is fantastic. I think I rambled on a little bit too much. There's a lot of people jumping in on Facebook. I appreciate you guys. I think I rambled on a little bit too much about The Last of Us Part 2, and I rambled on a lot about games, because I'm just trying to get a lot out. As you can see right now, I'm getting very settled into the podcast. But yeah, Ghost of Tsushima, just talked about that. Cyberpunk will be the winner for me, I think. So I want to jump into more topical stuff. Why am I not getting the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox Series X day one? Look, it's simple. I feel like it's going to be very hard to get the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox Series X. I think you're going to have to make sure you set your alarm clocks to get up to go get it, or you're going to have to set your alarm clocks to get online to pre-order it and order it, all that stuff. I'm fine with waiting on the PlayStation 5. I've said this before about the new console generations. I feel like these console generations have happened too quick. That's not your fault. That's not my fault. That's not even really the company's fault, because every 7 years we do get a new console, unfortunately. And I think that's okay. My bad. I just popped something up on my computer here. And I think that's okay. But I think right now there's so many great games still coming out for the PlayStation 4, and there's so many great games still coming out for the Xbox. I also play on PC. I just don't feel the need to rush out, really. I'm getting Cyberpunk. A lot of the games, I read an article on Game Informer talking about that, Horizon Zero Dawn and like 4 other PlayStation exclusives are still coming out for still coming out for PlayStation 4. So I just feel the need not to jump. I mean, I think a lot of people, honestly, you're jumping to get the PlayStation 5 to watch, to watch The Office. Like that's what the funny part is to me. But yeah, that's basically why. And I think both consoles really do have a chance to really shine in this console generation. Xbox Series X. We're gonna talk about Xbox a little bit later here in a minute. They have so many companies that are going to make exclusives and that are making exclusives. And then of course PlayStation on the other end already has the exclusive game happening. Like it's crazy. Also Xbox Series X also has Game Pass, and I think Xbox is really focusing on the ecosystem, and I'm going to talk a lot about that here in a minute. So I'm actually going to jump forward. You guys know my stance on the new consoles now. I don't need to secure the PlayStation 5. I'm going to stay on PlayStation 4 for a little bit and give you guys that great content. Cyberpunk 2077 devs are now in crunch. Now, how do I feel about this situation? Unfortunately, making games is a business, and it's a business that sometimes comes down hard on people, especially these developers. And crunch time now for Cyberpunk 2077. Look, we're only like a month out, and they did promise that they weren't going to put these developers through crunch. But when you're at work, your manager's going to tell you, yo, you need to kind of pick it up and start doing this, and this. It's just part of the life we live in. And it's unfortunate that they do have to go through crunch. Hopefully it's not as bad. Hopefully it's not 72 hours in a week. Hopefully these people don't. I mean, some of the crunch stories you hear is just like people are passing out at the job. They're working like freaking like, I'm guessing like 18-hour days and stuff like that. But the game already has been delayed multiple times. And I think CD Projekt Red just couldn't have it delayed again. So I think maybe that's why they're going into crunch. But CD Projekt Red is genuinely a great company, and I think they're taking care of their people. I really do think. And when I heard that they were going into crunch, I didn't get mad. I didn't get upset. I just said, you know what? I'm pretty sure they have like a system where they maybe I think this game is in such goodwill with a lot of the developers that the developers really want to get this game to get pushed out. Now, I'm not part of CD Projekt Red. I don't really know. I'm just making an assumption. But I think they're like, look, we want to get this amazing game out. We're willing to do the crunch, and we're going to work vigorously to get it out for that November 19th deadline. And I think the crunch isn't I'm not going to say it's a good idea, but I'm just going to say maybe it's not as bad as people think. That's what I'm going to say. For our main topic today, I'm so happy, like, with me doing the podcast, my mouth is getting dry and stuff, but I have my coffee here. But it's like with me doing the podcast, the podcast doesn't go for like an hour because I have to listen to somebody else talk. Don't get me wrong. I want to listen to whatever everybody else has to say, but it's cool. It's whatever. Hopefully I can get more people on, but with our main topic, we're going to talk about Xbox buying Bethesda. I've been very vocal on Facebook and on Twitter. You can follow me at Callie from the Dojo. Been very vocal about how amazing this deal is. So Xbox bought Bethesda, which is probably the biggest Western RPG developer ever, really. Elder Scrolls, Fallout, Doom is behind that. Dishonored's behind that. Think Curtis, Fallout, Bethesda. There's 4 I can really think of, but there's a lot of them. And Microsoft buying them, I think Bethesda needed a change. You look at Fallout 76, it was absolute crap. Game was absolutely awful. It's one of the worst games I really ever played, to be honest with you. It was a cash cow. It was a game that wasn't even fully developed. And granted, I played it during like a beta version, but it's like like you could put sprinkles on a turd, man. It's still a turd. Like, it's still going to be bad. And I think Bethesda also, what else were they doing? What else was really bad that Bethesda was doing? I don't know. They were getting a lot of bad will. They had like stuff with Skyrim, like they were trying to put in like paid paid mods and stuff in Skyrim. Like Bethesda was really not doing a good job. And there's so many games that Bethesda are behind right now that they are making that we just gotta make sure these games are good. Like Starfield is gonna be a fantastic space RPG. Elder Scrolls 6 is probably gonna be one of the best RPGs we've played in 10 years, and hopefully like this move to Xbox and having Xbox as the hierarchy, because Xbox didn't just buy Bethesda, they bought ZeniMax, they brought the baby and the daddy. Like they went hard for it. So hopefully this kind of changes how Bethesda are making their games. Hopefully this kind of changes the atmosphere. Hopefully this kind of changes their vision, and Phil Spencer can kind of get behind that and say, okay, we're gonna make this amazing exclusive, because Bethesda is talented with all the companies they have under them. Bethesda is talented. So could this be a situation where Elder Scrolls could be an exclusive for Xbox? You know what? I was listening. I forgot what podcast I was listening to. And to be honest with you, I think it's more, they said maybe these games might start being bargaining chips where, hey, Elder Scrolls 7, I don't think Elder Scrolls 6 and I don't think Starfield will be exclusives. I think those games have already been worked on for multiple consoles, and I think that those things will come out for multiple consoles. We're talking PC, Xbox, PlayStation 3 across the board. Let's say if they do a Starfield 2, right? Xbox can say, hey, PlayStation, you have what's a game that they have that they didn't that was on multiple platforms? Let's say you guys have MLB and you're looking to bring it across, but you know that we're keeping exclusives also. How about this? We make Starfield 2. We give you guys, we allow Bethesda to make Starfield 2 for PlayStation, as long as you give us MLB in return. You make MLB an Xbox game also. I think that can happen. That might sound crazy, but no, I think it can happen. And when they said that, I think it was on Game Ranks. Go get Game Ranks, man. Subscribe. They're a really great channel. I think my brother even like posted something for me about EA stuff. Anyway, they could use that as a bargaining chip when it comes to exclusives. And I think that this console generation could be a lot of chess play. It could be, we have Hellblade 2. Now we can make it a year exclusive, or we can just keep it on Xbox. It was on PlayStation first. What are you going to give us in return? You know what I'm saying? Of course, we won't see God of War fly over. We won't see The Last of Us fly over, but you might see maybe Bloodborne. Maybe a Bloodborne 2 starts getting worked on. Bloodborne 2 for Xbox. Okay, you give us Hellblade. And so it can be a lot of this and that, because Xbox is up the exclusivity game. Look, you guys know me, and I'm looking at the Facebook people too. You guys know me. I'm not on one side of Xbox. I'm not on one side of PlayStation. I want both of them to succeed, and I want both of them to be great. Same thing with PC. So, and Switch right back there. So I think they could be used for bargaining chips. With Xbox buying Bethesda, I think it's just making Xbox stronger, period, because Xbox has already got these Xbox already has these companies. They already have Ninja Theory. They bought Obsidian. And that's why everybody's saying, a New Vegas 2 for Fallout could come out soon. They can make a Dishonored game now. And I think Xbox right now is in a very strong position to make great games. We now know Fable's coming out, even though they did push back Halo. I thought the pushback of Halo was like, it probably needed to get pushed back. Okay, I'm gonna, you know what? This is my podcast. All right, so I'm gonna say honestly what I thought about Halo. I thought it would look okay. Like, I thought it looked good. I know a lot of people was like, yo, this looked bad. The only thing I had questions about was like Master Chief shot out like a whole claw, a whole like grappling hook and grab like stuff, and I was like, okay, what is this about? This is looking like Doom. But I thought it looked decent. But apparently a lot of people kind of disagree with me. They didn't think it looked good, and now it got pushed back. I really was hoping Xbox had a Halo game ready to go at launch, but it seems like that's not going to happen. But anyway, I mean, Xbox is going to make games that are for the Xbox One also still. So I'm gonna still be able to play that. I have a PC, so I'm gonna be good. Period. Yeah, so I think Xbox buying Bethesda it was a fantastic thing. It really was. When I saw it, I was really proud of that, because it was like, wow, like this is something they've done completely different from Xbox One. Remember Xbox One, they were really focused on selling, hey, you can watch Netflix on this thing, you can watch cable on this thing, you can play music on Xbox, but it never focused on the games. PlayStation focused on the games, and that's why PlayStation was so superior. I mean, PlayStation knocked it so far out of the park this generation that Xbox tried to rush games out, and it failed even worse. When you look at games like Crackdown 3, like when your ultimate exclusive was Crackdown 3 and Sea of Thieves, you knew you lost this one. I think PlayStation 4 is one of the best consoles I think it's one of the best consoles, period. I think when it comes to, I think PlayStation 2 is number 1, PlayStation 4, PlayStation 1, and then PlayStation 3. Now, I know a lot of people, actually, no, a lot of people don't. Only a few small amount of people will disagree with that, because I think the PlayStation 3 failed for PlayStation 4 to run, for PlayStation 4 to be great. And fortunately, that's just how it is. But yeah, Xbox focused on that, and Don Matlock, who was a dummy, came out and said, well, you know, I think at the time they were saying that, and I did a video over this. You can go on the Seoul Dojo right here and look it up. Don Matlock was like, yeah, like, we're going to keep the Xbox One online all the time. And and he was like, and I think it was the guy that hosts the Game Awards, I forgot his name right, Jeff Keighley. He was like, so what are y'all gonna do about that? And he's like, you know, well, fortunately, if you don't want to be online, we have something we have a console that doesn't have to be online all the time. It's called Xbox 360. And I thought, literally, Xbox grabbed a gun and said, pow, I'm done. Like, they literally killed themselves that console generation right then and there. That was so defining. If you know gaming, that was a defining moment right there for Xbox. That knew that the vision that they didn't care about games no more, that they didn't care about their consumers. They were worried about being an entertainment box instead of a game console. And I thought that was an issue. This move right here, buying Bethesda, buying The Initiative, buying Ninja Theory, buying Obsidian, who just brought out an amazing game in The Outer Worlds. The Outer Worlds was fantastic. The Outer Worlds is a fantastic game. Just bought them. The Outer Worlds 2 can be an exclusive on Xbox. And now you're saying Fable's coming out. Halo's coming out. Xbox is looking great. PlayStation's looking good too. Nintendo is in its own island. PC's on its own island. That's how I see it. And I'm going to end it right there, you guys. Like, it's almost 10 o'clock. I think I rambled about games enough, to be honest with you. Thank you for coming back to the Seoul Dojo podcast. Hopefully I can get some people on to talk about games with me, and I think at that point the podcast will probably go for about an hour. But I gave you guys about 30 minutes of talking about some. Did I give you guys 30 minutes? Yeah, I gave you like 33 minutes of like games, talking about games. Like I love this. I love talking about games. I know my hair is all messed up, and you know I've been doing a lot of stuff. Life's hit me hard, and I've been trying to get it together so I can keep doing this YouTube stuff and keep talking about my favorite hobby, video games. You guys can see the PlayStation right behind me. I just noticed that. So yeah, thank you for coming back to the Seoul Dojo Gaming channel. My name is Curtis Russell. Make sure you guys like and subscribe. We're trying to get to 500 this year, 500 subscribers this year. People on Facebook, go to the Seoul Dojo. Just type in the Seoul Dojo. Follow me on Callie from the Dojo on Twitter, because I ramble about Manchester United because they crap, and I ramble about video game stuff. So yeah, check you guys later. People on Spotify, follow too. Check you guys later, all right? Peace.